Hey there, my name is Mackenzie and welcome to my little corner of the internet. Today I decided to do a little art project during my almost 2-hour commute to my language school here in Japan as a bit of a change from the same old routine. I usually use that time to study, edit content on my phone, or listen to music and just kind of zone out. But today I brought my sketchbook and my paints so I could draw some of my favorite fashion styles that I've either come to love since moving here or that I just really enjoy and love seeing. The first look I've really been into lately is off the shoulder tops. I've been into them for a few years now, but I actually don't own any, and since moving to Japan, this love of shoulder exposing garments has only gotten stronger as I've lost weight and developed a bit more self-confidence in my appearance, and shopping for clothes has become significantly easier. I don't shop for clothes much. In fact, I've only done it once so far since I moved here a year ago, but next time I go shopping sometime, I do plan to keep an eye out for pieces like these. I've been really loving fluffy pieces, whether with furry accents or like the entire item is covered in fur. When it comes to over-the-shoulder tops specifically though, I think I'd want the fur to be removable because furry pieces feel better suited to colder weather. Do you know what I mean? I probably wouldn't think to wear them in the summer, especially in Japan. The idea of wearing anything furry in that horrid level of humidity that Japan has in the summer makes me feel physically sick. So I'd want the fur to be detachable, but I don't think that's very common to find, so I'd probably have to create it myself by making fluffy pieces that can be attached to clothing that I own. Anyway, you'll see a lot of fluffy fabrics in these drawings as a result of my recent obsession with fluffy, furry clothing. Next up, we have varsity jackets. I've always loved varsity jackets and have wanted one for years, but because they're so expensive, I always feel like I have to find the perfect one, as I don't think I'd ever need more than just one. So it's the one that I have has to be perfect, you know? So I'm always coming across designs that I do love, but I worry it might not be the one. And sure enough, at some point I'm proven right when I see a different one that I love, and I love it just as much or maybe even more than the previous one, and so then the process repeats. Alternatively, I'll love it, but then there's something about it that kills it for me, like wonky English or an ugly design on the back, and then I'm oh, never mind. If I could design my own, I'd have it custom made, but I'll never be rich enough for that, so in the meantime, I'll keep my eyes peeled for that perfect one to take a leap of faith with. Another thing that I've come to enjoy is pants, underdresses, or very long tops that are shaped like dresses. I didn't draw any this time, but this also applies to skirts over pants as well. As someone who grew up with this being the major trend from my early childhood years, I remember how hyped this look was. It's nostalgic for me, but also something I had to fall in love with again after the West just kind of collectively decided that not only was it not cool anymore, but it was a major fashion faux pas now, akin to socks with sandals and wearing multiple patterns at the same time. When I got into J-pop as a kid, I realized that the trend never died in Japan the way it did in Canada and the States, and I remember finding it embarrassing and not wanting any of my friends to see my favorite idols wearing skirts and dresses over pants, especially the male idols, but the look actually serves, if we're being real, and I'm happy to see this one coming back around and being appreciated, and I'm hoping that it'll become a timeless combo that isn't questioned in the future, because it's so rough when all of a sudden we start demonizing certain fashion trends as being just inherently bad, and no one is allowed to wear them without being ridiculed. It's gross. As for hats, I've been seeing so many different styles of hats, and until I came here, I wasn't really a hat-wearing person. I think a lot of that had to do with not being allowed to wear hats in school growing up, so I didn't get used to considering them as a basic part of an outfit. Anyway, I've been seeing a lot of berets with fun patterns, paperboy and newsboy style hats that are also very 2002 Lizzie McGuire, and I'd love to see it. And regarding Japanese fashion specifically, I've been seeing a ton of these old 40s and 50s style hats on the older ladies here, and I just love them to death. I have seen a few youngins wearing them too, but it is mostly the older generation, which makes sense. But as someone that really loves retro and vintage fashion, it really like hits the spot for me. I really want to get at least a few pairs. Of course, the animal ear hats are in and have been for a few years at least, so I've been digging these too, and I want them in various styles. I recently got a bear hat, but it has a bear face on the front, and although I love it and it's super warm and comfortable, I realized after the fact that I'm more into just like the ears kind of look for animal hats, you know what I mean? So I'll probably get another one that's just the ears and a bit more subtle at some point. I really like bears and cats, so those two animals are kind of what I tend to gravitate towards in terms of animal patterns or styles. So I would want one that has like cat ears and another one that has bear ears, so that I'm covering all my animal bases over here. Another look I've been really loving is layering, but especially sheer tops under other tops. I've also been loving everything with bows, so I'm sort of combining those two ideas here. I have a friend who often wears sheer and patterned like long sleeve tops under tank tops and such, and I think it looks really cute. I also see that a lot in my Japanese fashion magazines, so I drew one inspired by what I often see her wearing as well, and what I've seen in a lot of fashion magazines, just the sheer but patterned tops underneath tank tops, or tops that would otherwise be very revealing. I didn't show much of it, but I also sketched out a turtleneck underneath and over the shoulder top, as I saw another friend do that recently and loved the look. I'd have never thought of it myself, so I made a note of it and sketched it out for future reference. I've also fallen in love with long skirts and dresses, which I wouldn't have been caught in previously. I feel like since coming to Japan, I've become more open to more modest style of clothing, like more like layering and covering up more and such like that. It's not that I was adverse to those things prior to moving here, I just didn't necessarily want to wear it myself, or didn't have as much creativity in regards to layering and pairing various different lengths together and that kind of thing. Although I'm still picky about them, I can get down with a longer skirt now, and I even bought one last year during my aforementioned single thrift shopping trip. I do have a video showing what I bought, so you can see that there. I didn't have enough time to add color and such to them, so I brought my stuff along with me the next day for a round 2 session, which spilled into my class time, where I worked on it during breaks and lulls in class. These weren't meant to be super perfect and detailed, so I was just sort of slapping paint down and not worrying too much about it. You'll see a color palette starting to form here. As someone that's definitely a summer type, or at least I think I am. I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure I'm a summer type, and I often gravitate towards blues and cooler tones as I think that looks best on me. Pink is my favorite color, but the dusty, warm pink tones that are often used for Japanese clothing looks absolutely atrocious on my ass, and so I have a hard time finding pink items that suit my skin tone. Hi. Konnichiwa. Actually, now that I think about it, that goes for everything here. It's often very warm tones and lots of boring beige and browns and blacks and white shades, where I'm more about pastels and pretty colors, and preferably on like the brighter and cooler side of the color spectrum. Anyway, there's definitely a specific color palette that I would want my wardrobe to have if I were to shuffle it up. So lots of pinks and blues and lavenders, sage greens, maybe some yellows, as it is a favorite color of mine. But I do have to be careful with yellow because if it's too warm I look sickly wearing it, but I wanted to change it up with the colors a bit, so I included some green and yellow tones in there too, to have some visual variety. I finished things off with just a basic ballpoint pen to outline, and also went in with a white ink pen to do some of those little details like the varsity jacket or the white heart pattern on a pair of jeans, as I've been really loving jeans with designs on them as well and wanted that represented too. Signed my artist signature and we're done. I hope you enjoyed this random little art video, and if you did, definitely let me know by liking this video or commenting, because I'll probably do another one of page 2 that you didn't get to see if you all enjoyed this one enough to want another. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next Sunday with another new video of my little life in Japan.